While everyone's a fan of top-tier prospects, probably my favorite type of players are players that are counted out during the NFL draft that end up making a major impact on their team. Players like Emmanuel Mosley, Matt Breida, and even Azeez Al-Shaair were all undrafted free agents. And with San Francisco's undrafted free agency kicking off, they signed an offensive weapon in Isiah Neyor. And while Neyor doesn't have the best production, which we will get to, last year he did lead his team with 5 receiving touchdowns and 455 yards. But that's not what's truly impressive about Isiah Neyor for San Francisco. When you look at him, for instance, it looks like he was built inside a lab to play the wide receiver position. And if San Francisco is able to develop him, he could end up being a steal. To really highlight this point, on this graph, we're showing Neyor's measurables, and you can see almost every single one comes in at least at the 80th percentile. His 40-yard time, 84th percentile, his vertical, 80th percentile, his 10-yard split, 85th, his broad jump, 98th, and his wingspan is absolutely absurd. It's nearly 7 feet, coming in at 83 and an 1/8 inch. So in this video, I want to dive into the 6'4", 218-pound wide receiver to really see what he'll offer San Francisco headed into his rookie campaign. Initially, we will be covering his strengths before moving into his weaknesses and finally concluding on what's realistic to expect out of him as a rookie. Initially starting out, probably his biggest strength that shows up on tape is also what shows up when you're looking at him. He has a massive wingspan, and because of this wingspan mixed with his height and athleticism, if your quarterback is just getting it in his general vicinity, he's probably going to be coming down with it. So his ball skills are a big plus. And thanks to his 4.4 40, he can really challenge a defense deep down the field on fade and seam routes, but I also love his ability to come back to the ball. Often you'll see him stop on the dime, and then when he does come back to the ball, he does a nice job of boxing out the corner with his large frame. Another underappreciated aspect of his game, in my opinion, is his ability to get off press coverage. Bigger cornerbacks won't be able to just get in his face and stop him from releasing. Rather, you need to be somewhat conservative when pressing Neyor because of his hand usage, agility, and just straight line speed. If you pull out a double-handed press technique, for instance, he often does a good job of swiping away your hands, and then he's off to the races. And even when the cornerback is successful when pressing Neyor, he shows off the necessary strength to fight through this press within the first 5 yards, and it really doesn't disrupt his route that much. Tied directly to this strength is his ability once he does catch the ball. He shows off a similar level of yak ability as San Francisco's other wide receivers, and he's extremely violent with the ball in his hands. He does a great job of utilizing a stiff arm, using those long arms to his advantage, and his speed is often enough to burn the defense and get the ball. But with all these positives being noted, he's definitely not a complete player just yet, with probably his biggest question mark on his resume being his production. But I do want to dive into his career a little bit more deeply because it tells a more deep story than just saying he's not a very productive wide receiver. In 2019, for instance, he decided to commit to Wyoming. He redshirted that year, but in 2021, he played in 6 games, had 248 receiving yards, and really looked on his way to be a productive wide receiver. The following year in 2021, he was a productive wide receiver. He was a second-team All-Mountain West Conference player. He tied for 8th in FBS with 12 receiving touchdowns. He led his team with 44 receptions, and he had 878 receiving yards, and he averaged 20 yards per catch. If Neyor entered the draft after this season, I think he probably would have been drafted given the crazy athleticism and size he offers. But he bet on himself and transferred to Texas. During the 2022 offseason though, he tore his ACL, and that's what really set him back during the 2022 season and 2023 season. Luckily for Neyor though, entering the 2024 season, he was finally fully healthy and decided to transfer to Nebraska. And during his sole season there, he led the team with 5 receiving touchdowns, had 34 receptions for 455 yards, averaging 13.4 yards a catch. So while Neyor wasn't the most productive college football wide receiver last season, I think it showed the ability for him to bounce back from a major injury and return to form at a big time level. Outside of his production, I do think Neyor needs to continue to refine his routes, as sometimes he can cut them off too short or really not fight that hard because of his ability to go up and just snag the ball out there. It's not that Neyor can't create separation, it's just that he's not the most consistent doing it. There's times on his tapes where he has a really nice breaking out route and creates like 5 yards of separation, but other times he rounds it off and the cornerback can stay in his hip pocket. Regardless of these concerns, because of San Francisco's lack of depth at the position and potentially starting the season without Brandon Ayuk and Demarcus Robinson, I could see Neyor pushing for one of the roster spots in the back half of San Francisco's wide receiver room. This will mean he has to beat out other wide receivers like Chris Conley, but given his rare mixture of size and athleticism, Kyle Shanahan may decide that's not worth trying to sneak him onto the practice squad and use one of his 53-man roster spots to develop him as the season progresses, with the hopes of him being a productive rotational piece maybe towards the later parts of this year. But if he doesn't make the roster, I do expect him to be a strong practice squad candidate, and San Francisco will probably do everything in their power to get him there. Overall though, these are just my thoughts on the extremely gifted Isiah Neyor, and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. Do you think he'll actually make the team this year or just be a practice squad player? And as always, I hope you guys do have a great rest of your day, and it would mean a ton to me if you could like and subscribe. I will be breaking down every single undrafted free agency signing, as well as any other addition San Francisco may make this offseason.